I am live. Yay. Good morning, everyone. If you have questions, comments, concerns, further explanation that you want, definitely put it in the comments. And I always circle back, check and see if anybody has any comments or anything they want me to expand upon. Definitely procrastination is the topic today, practical ways to stop procrastination. Now, there are some basic frameworks as to what causes procrastination. Starting in June of last year, this has been in the works and it's been building, and it's actually finally coming to birth, so to speak. And in March, I will be launching my Unstoppable, and it's going to start off with a 10-day challenge. It is going to be mindset-wise, it is going to be difficult. I don't want that to deter anyone from joining, but it is going to be difficult. I am going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge your safe little bubble that you like to stay in, whether it's working for you or not. And in 10 days, you are going to experience tremendous growth and ability to have the support, have the knowledge, have the tools, and have the keys to unlock the locks that are keeping you stuck in place. You will also be going forth with the ability to watch all of that stuff over again. It's going to be what's called an evergreen course. So anybody who does jump in, you'll always have it. And there's some stuff that's coming as a surprise with it too. So I'm going to leave you with a cliffhanger. So anybody who is interested in joining the 10-day challenge, again, it's going to be mindset and business. It's going to cover both, and it's going to be action packed. So I'm pretty excited about it. All right. So enough of the shameless plug. So talking about procrastination today in your online business. Now, before we go into that, these past few weeks, I had given up a lot of time to prepare for a state exam to become a loan originator. I have given up a lot of time to be trained by the company who's sponsoring my license and me to be able to write loans, get people into homes, refinance, all that stuff. And also, so now I have tons of training, tons of stuff that I have to do. So I feel like it has become a full-time job. So I have so much free time because I work for myself. I'm not an employee anywhere. So this giving up my time to someone else, to another company, it's all going to work out. I don't know why my camera keeps going blurry, but I feel like it's a full-time job. And I can say that I appreciate the time constraints that people who work full-time have when trying to build an online business. I feel like I'm sneaking in 15 because I wasn't prepared to have all of my time taken from me to get this another business up and running. So I feel overwhelmed. I don't feel like quitting. I feel overwhelmed. I feel burnt out at the end of the day because I'm running 3 businesses at once and I'm a mom. So I certainly appreciate all of you who work full time and are trying to build this business. I guess if I worked full time, I'd have to make it happen. But talk about procrastination taking over because you just sometimes have to put things off till tomorrow. And again, for me, I wasn't prepared to give all of my time away. So I didn't have all of these trainings and everything were a surprise to me. So I couldn't plan for it. Thankfully, it's not going to be forever. And so I'm hoping after this week, I'm back to my Colleen's way of being able to do things. So practical ways to stop procrastination. But before we can talk about ways for you to stop procrastination, we need to figure out, I picked out 3. There's varying things out there about how many types of procrastinators there are. There's scientific reasons behind it. There's the brain functions and all that. So I'm not getting into any of that stuff. But before we can figure out what may be contributing to you procrastinating, we need to figure out what type of procrastinator you are. And again, I picked out 3 just to keep it not so heavy and cumbersome. So if you know which one you are, it might be easier for you to take charge of your agenda and finish tasks when you should be finishing those tasks. So the 3 types that we're going to focus on today is the avoider, and I think you can figure out what the avoider does, basically just right in the title, the optimist, and the pleasure seeker. So if you are the type of procrastinator and you're the avoider, you put things off because they make you feel bad, whether this specific emotion is anxiety, boredom, feeling overwhelmed, feeling sadness. In some way, the tasks that you have to do are making you feel bad. Now, again, that could be because you are building an online business and the tasks that you have to do are new to you. So it could be making you feel uncomfortable, which makes you not want to do them. So that's, in a sense, that's how it's making you feel bad, even though it's not like bad in the sense of being harmed. It's pushing you out of your comfort zone, and that's uncomfortable. So you're going to avoid doing them. Maybe it's you're avoiding doing something that's new to you. You have to learn something and you don't have the confidence that, doing it all on your own, you'll be able to do it. Maybe you don't have a support system yet. So that's how the avoider can avoid doing things and procrastinate. So again, it can cause anxiety, which can cause you feeling overwhelmed, which can cause you feeling frustrated, which can cause you feeling irritated. And then you can also start to feel sad, because if you're comparing yourself to other people in the online space, you are seeing people achieve and find success and do all these things. But here you are over here procrastinating and avoiding because that growth makes you so uncomfortable that you just don't want to do it. So another type of personality trait that lends itself to procrastination is the optimist. And someone who is an optimistic procrastinator, they put off their intentions and they don't worry about it because they are confident they will succeed regardless of whether they perform the task or not. Now, put that in perspective with an online business. You can be as positive minded as possible. I am inherently a very positive person. I see the positive in everything. Yeah, it doesn't mean I never complain. Yeah, sometimes I can complain, but I try not to sit in that negative puddle of complaint. But I can't just sit here and go, oh yeah, my online business will be successful. I just have to believe in myself. That's a beautiful basis to have, but that's not going to, just that optimistic thinking is not going to get you where you want to go. It's similar to having affirmations. It's similar to manifesting. If you're just thinking about what you want and it doesn't come with actions, then you're not going to achieve the goals. So just being optimistic is not going to get you to achieve your goals, and it's actually going to cause you to not perform the task because you just believe everything will work out. And on the flip side of that, a pessimistic procrastinator, they don't worry about their behaviors because they feel incompetent and afraid to avoid the situation. So those two different dynamics can also play at the same time on your mindset and kind of pull you back and forth for comfort control, so to speak. Anyone who's watching, would you consider yourself to be, and there's one more I'm going to talk about, would you consider yourself to be the avoider or the optimist? I definitely can fall in line with both, because as I've started my online business, I definitely tried to avoid doing things that would require too much of my energy because I like things to be simple. You can ebb and flow between all of them. The third type of procrastinator that I'll be talking about today is the pleasure seeker. So the pleasure seeker waits until they feel like doing a particular task, which may or may not happen, before engaging in it. It's normal to feel lazy from time to time. The pleasure seeker can become resentful about people around them because people around them are achieving and they are not. So just based on those criteria and those definitions, I definitely ebb and flow between all of them. However, I would say I'm optimistic, but I'm not an optimistic procrastinator because I don't sit back and think everything will just work out. I know that everything will work out as it's supposed to because I'm putting in the hard work to what feels right for me to be doing. So that leaves me to believe that I am an optimistic person, but I am the pleasure seeker. So I definitely, in my life, in my whole entire life, I have a hard time completing a task if it doesn't feel like it's the right time for me to complete it. And that is such a weird thing to have happen. So for instance, like if you could see my bedroom, because I've given up so much of my time and I wasn't prepared for it to build this next business, I have a small space. This is my bedroom. This is my little work nook, right? I have let everything in my bedroom go. I have piles of stuff on the floor that need to be brought to my office. I have things just I consider it messy. Most people would say it's really not messy, but I'm usually neat and organized, and I usually only have things out visually that I'm going to need to use on a regular basis. I don't put those away. It is the weirdest thing. And it is the weirdest thing because even though I know I need to complete a task, I may just physically not be able to get myself to do it if it doesn't feel like it's the time for me to do it. And ironically enough, I've had conversations with some of my cousins about this, and my cousins have the same thing. So I don't know the further dynamic of whatever that is, but it's definitely true. So it even goes to like small tasks. Like say we have recycle bins in the kitchen. So sometimes if I have a paper bag, like if I went to the food store and forgot my reusable bags, I'll get a paper bag. So when I come home, home, I'll take everything out of the recycle bins and I'll put it in the paper bag to bring out to the recycle rather than taking the plastic things out if I'm going to go to work or whatever. If it doesn't feel like the right time for me to take that bag, even though I'm parked right next to the recycle bin outside, if it doesn't feel like the right time for me to take that bag, I'm not going to take it. And that type of procrastination can get in the way of having a consistent schedule. And it does for me because I know I have my daily tasks that I need to do in my online business. I have my daily tasks I need to do for as an adult. I have my daily tasks I need to do for my brick and mortar business. I have my daily tasks I need to do for my multiple streams of income, right? I have a lot of daily tasks I have to do. Some of them overlap, some of them I can cross-pollinate across platforms, but some of them are unique to that business. So I know I have those non-negotiables I need to do every single day. However, because my schedule is constantly changing, depending on when clients can meet, depending on what's going on with my kids, like I don't have a static schedule, and I can't really have one because trainings pop up that are mandatory for me to attend, and that takes away my time to go live, or because then I have to configure my schedule, even though I have a lot of time, it appears like I have a lot of time, my schedule is constantly ebbing and flowing. Now, that kind of works with my personality type because I don't like for things to be like super rigidly structured, because if I have it too super rigidly structured, and if I don't feel like it's the right time to do it, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to procrastinate. So there are few things that I can have a static schedule for, like laundry. I have set days that I do laundry. I have set days that I go food shopping so I can meal prep, although I haven't been very good at that lately. I definitely find when I don't have enough time, the first thing to go out the window is my own self-care. So then that procrastination on taking care of myself leads to all the other things, leads to brain fog, leads to loss of motivation because I feel sluggish because I'm not eating properly. Either I'm not eating enough or I'm eating the wrong foods. All of that stuff compounds to procrastination. So if you're just jumping in right now, I'm not going to go through all of it, but I'm going to go through the 3 styles that I picked to talk about today. There's more. And again, there's the scientific reasons behind all this. I'm not going to go into any of that. But the 3 types of procrastinators that we're talking about today is the avoider. And the avoider puts off things that makes them feel bad. And feel bad can be, it's new and it makes you feel uncomfortable and it's challenging you to get out of your comfort zone, so you're going to avoid it. The optimist, they put off doing things because they just feel like they're going to succeed regardless, whether they perform the task or not. And the pleasure seeker waits until they feel like doing a particular task. Sometimes it'll get done, sometimes it won't. So those are the 3 types that we're talking about today. So how can you tell if you're a procrastinator? Now, I know some of you have on TikTok, some of you have answered that you feel like you're the avoider. Some of you on Facebook have said pleasure seeker and avoider. So yes, you can, I don't think you're hard, fast one type, because you can ebb and flow between. But again, if I had to choose one that is pretty much consistent across the board for me, it's the pleasure seeker. You think you're a little bit of it all, Jeanette? Yeah, possibly. Because even sometimes, depending on the situation, you can avoid because, you're avoiding it, or you're the pleasure seeker. I mean, it can be even situational. So I don't believe that we're one particular way, be all end all for everything. I think we can have little chunks of little things that create our personality. And that's why I find understanding these things so fascinating, because you could be like, oh, all right, I do this for all of these things, but I do this for these things. So I think it's just so cool, right? Human nature and behavior and what drives us is just, it's my passion. I find it so fascinating. And I do also appreciate the science behind it. I just don't weigh too heavily on the science behind it. I weigh more heavily on the mindset development aspect of it, but it is definitely science-based. The different parts of our brain, whether they've been overdeveloped, underdeveloped, all of this stuff, right? They're science-based for all of this stuff. I just don't go into it, but I do read about it. It's pretty fascinating. So how can you tell if you're a procrastinator? You repeatedly say things like, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. That's an easy one to figure out. I'll do it later. So you're putting putting things off. You're procrastinating getting it done. Another way that you can tell if you're a procrastinator, you get stuck in neutral, even though you know how important it is to get started. When I was starting my online business, I was doing things that I thought was productive, and I was getting burnt out, and that burnt out led to exactly that. I was stuck in neutral. I was so overwhelmed. I was so frustrated. I was so lost. I was so angry at myself for investing the amount of money I did back in May of 2021, because I had such buyer's remorse, because I was like, I'm never going to understand this stuff. What the hell was I thinking? But I moved past all that. I pushed past all that with the help of many people. And I can honestly say I don't have any of that stuff anymore. I don't let myself get burnt out. Now I'm comfortable doing a lot of stuff. So I really don't get overwhelmed. Sometimes I get frustrated, but it's like, holy Christ. So let me tell you something that frustrated me yesterday. But you know what? I stayed calm. I knew there was an answer somewhere. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm used to being full and persevering and all this stuff. I was at my office. Yesterday, and I had my laptop for my mortgage business. And I was like, sweet, I have 2 hours, because I had a client that canceled. I don't have internet at my office. I'm like, I can use the hotspot on my phone. I've never had to do that before. So I'm like, it's gotta be easy. No. So I turn on the hotspot, nothing. So I'm like, oh man, what? So I go back into my settings and I look at everything. I'm like, I have everything turned on. Why is my computer not picking up my hotspot? So I Google it and it says how to do it. I'm like, all right, that's how I did it. I'm like, all right. So what I know from online business is there are many things behind the scenes that are working. That what I know from online business is there are a lot of things working in the background, a lot of steps, a lot of things that you have to click and all this stuff. So I'm like, there has to be something I'm missing with this phone and this hotspot. So I look it up on Google. I search different articles and I look up my phone type and I'm like, what? So I'm like 43 minutes into trying to figure out how to connect my laptop to my hotspot on my phone. I even went into my phone account to confirm that I had hotspot capability, and I do. I'm like, all right, there has to be something behind the scenes that's not evident on the screens that I'm pulling up that I have to do. So I restarted my phone. I took a break. I went to the bathroom, filled up my water bottle, came back, went back into my hotspot settings, and I hit something that I never hit before, and up popped a screen, and up popped the password application that I couldn't find. And I was like, yes, I did it. And I was so freaking excited. And it took me 45 minutes to figure out how to turn on my hotspot appropriately so my laptop could connect to it. I lost 45 minutes of work time trying to figure that out. But you know what? I didn't give up. And I didn't give up because I'm an entrepreneur. I didn't give up because everything that I'm building is important to me for my future. It's important for my kids' future. So giving up was not an option. Could I have? Shit, yeah. I could have said, whatever, I'm not going to get this work done. I could have gone on my phone. I could have opened up my book and I could have lost myself in my book. I love to read. I could have done that. I could have logged on to Netflix on my phone and I could have watched another episode of the series that I'm watching. I didn't do any of that. I persevered. And sometimes just taking that little bit of a break and walking away, clearing your mind, you come back and you see it differently. You see what you weren't able to see before. And sometimes you're like, yeah. And it is so empowering when you find the answer and solution on your own. But also know when you need to ask for help. So I actually did reach out to a friend of mine. I'm like, they weren't any help. So I stopped messaging them. They were telling me to do things I had already done. Even though I was sending screenshots of what I was doing, I'm like, all right, you're not even helpful. So you're actually irritating me more than not. I stopped reaching out to them. They don't have the same kind of phone as me. They don't even have the same service. So it didn't really matter. But it is so empowering when you come up with a solution on your own. But as an entrepreneur, also know when you should ask for help, because you can. If you have coaches, if you have an accountability group, if you belong to a Facebook group, someone in there knows how to do it. Post the question in there. But use those traits of an entrepreneur. Dig in your grit, persevere, and get it, right? Because the beautiful thing about solving a problem on your own too is you develop the muscle memory on how to do it the next time. Because then you're like, oh, that's right, I need to do this and this. And then you're like, all right, got it, sweet. So 2 successful things yesterday. Figured out how to do my hotspot, and I got 2 trainings done, so which awesome, compliance trainings. Another way to know that you're a procrastinator is you take a long time to complete things that require a little bit of time, except sitting down and doing them. So again, you're delaying starting. So it's not the same as putting it off till tomorrow. You're just delaying starting. I sometimes can do that too. Again, I'm an avid reader. Love to read. My face is always in a book. And I will be like, oh, hey, Jeremy, thanks for hopping on. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So having another perspective helps. Absolutely. More eyes are better than just two sometimes. I oftentimes will delay doing something that I actually don't really want to do, which is almost everything. I am definitely a pleasure seeker, but I'll be like, all right, one more chapter, one more chapter, one more chapter, one more chapter. And then you run to time constraints and you're like, all right, I have 15 minutes to get this done. You put that pressure on yourself. And that's okay to do when you actually have the time to give yourself that pressure, but delaying doing something is definitely a form of procrastination. So psychologists, so remember I said this is very much like science-based. Psychologists have picked out certain things that drive people to procrastinate, and some of them are low confidence. So you can understand how having low confidence in your technology ability could lead you to avoid, because it's causing you to feel like anxious, so to speak, because you're in uncharted territory. A lack of structure. So if you were raised in a house that didn't have a lot of structure and it was like chaotic, you sometimes can be a procrastinator. And I wonder, now that I'm thinking about this, I wonder if some of that is true for me. My childhood was not very stable and consistent. I didn't really ever know who I was going to be with. My mom was a single mom, and my godparents had a big role to play in raising me, as well as my grandmother. And I never quite knew where I was going to be and who I was going to be with. So I wonder if that chaoticness, even though it was like stable in their houses, I wonder if that constant transition played into my procrastination. Good question, because I definitely am the type of person that change does not cause any issues within me. If I won $10 million today and could live anywhere I wanted to, I literally could, other than my sentimental things I have, I literally could leave everything behind and start new tomorrow and not even bat an eye at it. As long as my kids are with me, wouldn't even be a problem. So I wonder if having that instability also lent itself to me not having a problem with transitions too. So some positive, some quote unquote negative stuff probably come out of it. So that's interesting. Take a look at your upbringing and see if there was like a lack of structure, and maybe that has contributed to some of your procrastination. And also too, various types of procrastination is an inability to motivate yourself to complete unpleasant tasks. Who wants to complete unpleasant tasks? You have to clean that toilet. You have to, whatever's unpleasant. Some people hate food shopping. You have to go food shopping if you want to eat food. I love food shopping. I would go to the food store every single day if I had the time. In fact, when I had more time, I used to go to the food store every 2 days. So when I used to be a traveling social worker and I used to go to people's homes, I used to fit in my day to stop at the food store to buy stuff for dinner for that night and the next night. And I used to go to the food store 3-4 times a week. And I loved it because I love the supermarket. You like the market? SUPAHMAHKAT. Supermarket. So yeah, can you avoid doing things because they're unpleasant, but we know we have to do them. So some ways that you can stop procrastination and get them from standing in the way of achieving your goals is, a lot of times people put the pressure on themselves that they're not going to complete something or work towards completing something because they can't do it perfectly. So ways to stop procrastinating and having basically yourself stand in the way of achieving your goals. Perfectionist. Check yourself, see if you're a perfectionist, because there's no such thing as perfect. No such thing as perfect. Again, if I had given up on, because I didn't perfectly turn on my hotspot the first time, if I had given up, what would I have achieved by that? I would have lost 2 hours of productive time in completing 2 compliance trainings, which are tedious. I don't want to do them, but I have to in order for this whole business to get started, right? They're mandatory from the company. So I would have put off doing that. But what would that have achieved? What would I have achieved by that? I wouldn't have achieved anything because I still have to do them. So even though I lost 45 minutes and I couldn't do 3 compliance trainings, I was able to do 2. Now I know how to turn on my hotspot. That's learning from failure, learning from not succeeding. I didn't actually fail. I just didn't succeed the first time because I didn't have all the information on how to turn on my hotspot. Switch gears. I had mentioned that. Give yourself a break. Go, I don't know, go throw in a load of laundry. Go make your bed. Go change your sheets. Go have a snack. Go read for 15 minutes. Switch gears for what you're doing and then get back to what it is that you're trying to avoid doing that you have to. Schedule downtime. Now, this is a big one for me. I thrive on non-productive time. I thrive on the times when that rejuvenates me. And I don't think I'm unique in that. But these past couple weeks, it's been more than a couple weeks, but I think past couple weeks, because I'm like Dory from Finding Nemo. I don't have any recollection, really. I find that if I don't make sure that I have reading time, if I don't make sure I have time that I'm not talking to someone else, then I run myself ragged. And being an introvert, extrovert, Dory, yes, I am Dory. And I've always been that way, I'm the type of person that will write a list and then forget the list and be like, oh, damn it, I forgot the list. Or leave it in the car or put it in my coat pocket, forget I put it in there, then I can't find it till I get home. It's bad. But when I find, even if I'm super structured, even if I'm mindful, even if I am focused on what I need to do, I am Dory. I just accept that about myself. Use the buddy system. Have someone hold you accountable. Now that's a lot to ask someone to check in with you on a regular basis because people's lives are busy. But the benefit to that is you get to talk out loud why you didn't achieve the things that you set out to achieve. One, it requires you to be 100% honest with the people that are holding you accountable. Because if you're like, oh yeah, no, I did everything, then how can they help you? They can't. Utilize short time blocks. So again, I don't know where it is. Break your time up into 15-minute increments. If you do that and you have 8 15-minute increments, that's 2 hours of productivity that you can do. Even if you have to spread it out throughout the day, that's 2 hours of structured time, 15 minutes at a time. Do that. Make a plan. Absolutely have a plan. Don't overdo it. Don't go big or go home, because go big or go home is good sometimes, but when you're building an online business, going big or going home can leave you feeling burnt out, can leave you feeling frustrated, can leave you feeling like a failure, and then blah, 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 and then all the mindset mantras come in. And find the right environment. If you thrive on working in a quiet environment, make sure your environment's quiet. If you like to listen to classical music, it's not recommended that you listen to music with lyrics when you're trying to be productive, because it takes away from your brain's energy to absorb what it is that you need to learn. But if you have on classical, like instrumental music, doesn't need to be classical, but words without vocals, I don't know what it's called, but singing. So just the music, the melody, whatever it is. I don't know. I'm not a music person. Somebody help me out with that. What the hell is it called? Instrumental. If you have that on, or even if you have on white noise, like your brain is quiet, it's focused, it's mindful, it's purposeful, and you're going to find that you're the most productive. Hopefully that was helpful for all of you fellow procrastinators out there. Everybody has a little inner procrastinator within them. It just depends on what drives you to be that procrastinator. So for anyone who is still here with me, definitely need to do a shameless plug again. So I have a 10-day challenge that's coming up. It's going to be in March. It is going to be for people that are looking to find ways to become unstoppable to achieving their personal goals and professional goals. So if you're watching this on the replay, if you're interested in learning more about what that is, reach out to me. I'll send you the information. You can check it out. If it's for you, you can sign up. If it's not, fine too. But it's going to be awesome, and super excited to be building it out right now with my coaches, with myself, and all that stuff. So it is going to be mindset and business intersecting, but it is going to be difficult. So if you're honest with yourself, if you want to get out of your own way, if you want to stop things like procrastination, if you want to figure out your personality traits, if you want to figure out all that stuff, and if you want to maximize the tools that you have paid money for, if you're watching me in any groups here on Facebook, that means you've purchased something to build an online business. Then even if you haven't purchased something, if you want to purchase something, if you want to find success, then join my 10-day challenge. I used to have a second location, and I got contacted one time by an audiologist, and they wanted to establish a business relationship with me because I provided cognitive behavioral training. And so many people that have like tinnitus, the ringing in the ear, they have found that white noise and cognitive behavioral training retrains their brain so they don't focus on the white noise so that they can improve their quality of life. I found that fascinating. So I went and I met with the audiologist and they explained all this. They explained how long they've been using white noise and they were super excited. So we actually established a partnership and they would send me people from time to time. I've closed that second office a long time ago, but I found that fascinating because I had already been using. So when my kids were born, for the first year of their life, I used every night when they slept or when they took naps, I used classical music. So, they had classical music in their bedroom on low, but once they turned a year old, I switched over to white noise. I'm not quite sure why I chose that timeline to switch over. I have no idea, but it made sense to me at the time. And for many years, they slept with white noise and they slept really good. So since introducing white noise to my kids, I've always slept with a white noise machine. I actually travel with it. I have one in my travel bag everywhere I go except for camping because there's no electricity. I have a white noise machine. And my son actually now has started sleeping with the white noise machine again. And he says that it helps him get a really good night's sleep, like really good night's sleep. So pretty exciting. So that is procrastination. That is the 3 types of procrastinators that I had picked out to jam about today. You can have an air conditioner. I don't sleep with the white noise machine in the summer when I have the air conditioner on because it's the same thing. But when I don't have the air conditioner on, my white noise machine is on. And I wake up, providing I'm taking care of myself, I wake up feeling like I got a good night's sleep. Bye, everyone.